I'm so passionate. I love that I get to do this every day. I jump out of bed in the morning to come here and to do what I do. That you have to be successful in business. If you don't love it, don't do it. Kendra Scott Design, Inc. is an Austin, Texas-based company. I started this business in 2002 out of the extra bedroom in my house with $500. Today, we are a multi-million-dollar brand. We're lucky enough to sell in 1,000 stores and boutiques worldwide. We actually also have our own retail stores and are opening more every day. And we also have an incredible web business. You know, at Kendra Scott Design, we really believe that we want to create attainable jewelry, but in gorgeous materials. We don't buy any stones from third-party suppliers. We actually cut, polish, and facet all the stones ourselves. So in our collection, you'll see unique shapes. You'll even see unique colors. Every single piece of metal that you see on one of our pieces is actually designed here in Austin by hand. The collection has a level of that fine jewelry feeling that is incredible, attainable price point. And that was truly where we saw white space and opportunity in the fashion jewelry world. We can do all this fabulous research and design and put out these amazing collections, but if they're not being sent to our stores on time when our customers need them, it's not going to do anybody any good. So having the right systems, having the right people being able to communicate and talk to each other in real time is critical to the success of this company. You know, when I look at our future, the future is very bright here at Kendra Scott. I'm thinking big and very big. We want to be a lifestyle brand that's a legacy brand. We want to go into handbags and, you know, shoes or whatever it may be. Let us focus on that. And one of the things we saw with this QAD Cloud ERP solution is that we could expand into other categories, and they specialized in making that very easy for us to do that. Our teams can look at minute-by-minute basis to see what's selling, something that might be trending right when it hits the stores at a launch. We can quickly go back to our factories, reorder product, and get it back in our stores in a matter of weeks, being able to provide us quicker turns, more profitability, and things that we just couldn't do before. And that is real money in the bank. I'm Kendra Scott, and with QAD, we're building the effective enterprise.
Please welcome President and Founder, Pam Lopker.
Okay, I'm the last presentation before lunch, but this is going to be pretty exciting. Love those earrings that she has on, so I bought them myself. I'll be wearing them tonight. I don't think I'll quite look like Kendra Scott, but I like the look. Very fun and fresh. But in the meantime, we'll be talking about the principles for the future of manufacturing. And of course, we all are very excited about manufacturing because that is what we do. And this will hopefully be pretty exciting. So when we go forward and we look at what is it that we're going to create in our businesses, our products, even our home life, I really love this quote from Abraham Lincoln: the best way to predict the future is to create it, or it's also been said to invent it. So as we look forward to where our company and where our products are going, we need to invent and create that future for us and for all of our customers. And there's three guiding principles that I use when I think about going forward and what we're going to do in the next release, the next 5 releases, the next 5 years. That's about as far out as you can go in the technology world. But I think the first important principle is that you want to evolve. You want to evolve. You don't want to try to do something revolutionary. Not only is it risky, but I don't think there's anything that's actually revolutionary. I'm so tired of seeing products that says new and revolutionary. But nearly every product that you can think of, in fact, I couldn't think of one that wasn't evolved from something else. So even the internet, you could trace it back to what? Morse code? And the progression of that to actually become the internet. And even the Industrial Revolution, maybe it should have been the Industrial Evolution, because it very much was an evolution. And if you look at something, say like a automobile, the automobile was really created to carry things from one place to the next. It may be a human, it might be a set of materials, a package, whatever it was. But of course, that's had a very, very long evolution from the guy carrying it on the back to the invention of the wheel, to the horse drawn carriage, to the horseless carriage. And if you think about where that's going to go over the next very recent few years, you would think that a 3D printer is going to help a lot, because with the 3D printer, you can start making things right there and you don't actually have to transport it from one place to the next. And then if you think out even further, maybe even farther than our lifetimes, what about the transporter that we've all seen on Star Trek? We don't even need to drive ourselves from one place to the other. We'll just take our molecules and reposition them in another location, and great, you're here at Explorer and you never had to take that 30-hour flight from Singapore. Wouldn't that be perfect? And you could say that was all part of the evolution. There's a need, and we figure out a way to what we have today to make it better, to make it more efficient. And that's really a big part of what we're doing in product direction. The other one that I think is very important to our business particularly is the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And if you look at where we've started from individual functions of inventory control, accounts payable, sales order, and then making that into the enterprise, so an end-to-end integrated enterprise solution. And now, very much where we are is turning that into a whole supply chain. So the supply chain is better than the enterprise, which is better than individual functions. And certainly in our industry, that's absolutely true, because if you think about looking at this vector set representing every single module that you would have had, say, in the 1980s, and the fact that you had to re-enter, re-put stuff in. I hope nobody's still doing EDI and the rip and read and re-entry, or taking sales orders and re-entering them in planning. What a mess that was until we kind of integrated all that into an enterprise solution. And then as we, very much where we are today, is taking those different enterprises, whether they're divisions in the same company or whether they're suppliers and customers and other partners in your supply chain, and integrating all those enterprises into a seamless supply chain. And of course, we all know where this is going, I think. It's not just the customer and it's not just the supplier, but integrating it all to the point of use, whether it's from a store shelf or from a consumption in a warehouse someplace that might be 2 or 3 levels removed from your own enterprise, and be able to seamlessly have that information and demand flow through the multiple levels of the enterprise, which in our experience have always seemed to be about 6 deep from one end to the other. And then one of my favorites, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So it's not that we want to make simple products that don't do what's needed to do. We want to take complexity and make it invisible to the user. So simplicity beats complexity from a user interface view. And if you take something like this heating system that I have at home, I know that this heating system does a lot, but I never do anything except for turning the temperature down and turning the temperature up, maybe turning it off completely, maybe turning the fan. And I know that I can actually set things to go on at certain hours, different hours during the weekdays versus the weekends. I know it can do that, but I don't want to spend the time learning how to do that. So what do? We ignore that and just use it as a simple temperature control. So we've recently replaced that with this temperature control. And what's interesting about this, I do the same thing with this that I did with the old one. I just moved the temperature up, but I moved the temperature down. But it remembers that I did that. It remembers at 6:15 or 5:30 I turned the temperature up. And it does that automatically for me going forward. It remembers when I turn the temperature down, and it now does that automatically. If I haven't passed by it for 2 to 3 days, which would be like today, I've been here for a couple days, it turns it to the away temperature of like 50 degrees so that I'm not using any power while we're gone. And if I forget to do something, I can always go online onto my mobile device and change the away setting or change the temperature if I have my dog at home and I want to make sure that he's warm. Or if I'm driving home and it's very cold, I could simply go in my iPad or my iPhone or my Android, actually. Carl's iPhone, my Android. That's another story. Okay, I'll tell it to you anyway. Our son, who's very into technology, told me a few years ago, he goes, "Mom, don't get an iPhone, they're only for girls." So I carry an Android. I forgot to stop to think about the fact that I was actually a girl, but anyway, I have an Android. And you can use either one of it. So this is what I talk about, or what I think about when I talk about simplicity. It's simple to use. It's anticipating what I want. It's not hard to configure, because if it is, you never use it. So those are the 3 guiding principles as we look at where our products are going, where we need to take them. Okay. So let's go ahead and break this down to the major different module areas. And first of all, look at the exciting world of finance. How many people are in finance? I did meet a couple CFOs, so you have to see if you agree with me on this. So let's look at a short video, and then we'll talk about it.
Today's businesses operate around the world, around the clock, and at an ever-accelerating pace. A globalized world means finance teams in China, India, Brazil, or wherever else their business take them need to stay in sync and share information seamlessly in any language, any currency, and conforming to any accounting principles. They need information that is accurate, so they can be confident in not only the numbers they report, but the strategies they base on them. And they need information that moves as quickly as their business, allowing companies to close their books in days instead of weeks, so they can focus on what they do best, building their future.
Great. Okay, we believe the 3 guiding principles today for finance is global to start with. And it's all about handling the diverse global regulations worldwide, whether it's the golden tax in China, whether it's U.S. ever complicated taxes, a little different than the Canadian taxes, which is also quite different, say, than the Brazilian requirements and the nota fiscal, which is a little similar to the Italian bolla. And then, of course, the whole German requirements, the greater EU requirements. And it's not just, of course, languages and currency. It's all those local requirements. And it used to be that you would get, add-on packages in every country, put it on your disparate systems. But now that has to be handled in a single baseline supporting a global enterprise. So very complex. We've been working on this for a number of years. And now in the EE release, bringing all 47 different country supports innately into the product, and then working with the other countries, with our partners, to bring those in through APIs seamlessly. So supporting a global enterprise in all 90-something countries that we support. And then the idea of being connected. You think, what about finance? Finance needs to be connected? What partners do they have that they have to be connected to? Well, it's actually quite a number. Starting years ago in Europe with the banks doing accounts payable, accounts receivable through bank drivers. And as most of you probably know from the IT side, very difficult, because every bank in every country had different bank drivers. Thankfully, they're starting to standardize that now. Almost, EDI didn't take that long to standardize, yet the bank drivers have been quite a challenge over a number of years. And we're seeing that, go throughout the world. In the U.S., we're using that more and more, whether it's a lockbox or standard integration with the bank. And it would be lovely here in the U.S. to get rid of those things we call checks. When people come from other parts of the world and you write a check, they're like, what is that? So we are kind of late to that. And also with the Great Recession, we've seen that local governments are actually requiring electronic transmission of audit information, of tax information, and they're no longer accepting manual forms of that. They've had to cut back their people and resources during the recession to where it became mandatory for electronic communications. And actually, we see very, very tight countries like Brazil and like Portugal are requiring you to put these encrypted invoice numbers on your documents so that they can then audit a company to make sure that they've actually reported their taxes for every single invoice that was transacted. So it's really a government requirement, a banking requirement, credit requirements, all types of things that now you want to be connected for in finance. And then agility. The big thing in finance on being agile now is that instant information. I want to know what's going on, there's amount here, where did that come from, where's all the detail for it, and be able to drill down and get it. I also want to be able to close my books quickly, no longer 10 days after the end of the month. I want to be able to close things within a day or two or even immediately. I want to do that on a consolidated basis around the world. So handling multiple gaps, multiple chart of accounts, being able to consolidate all the local requirements and be able to see where I am anytime during the quarter, not just even at the month end, but maybe 2 weeks into the quarter. How does that compare to 2 weeks into the quarter from last year and the year before or last quarter? So very, very agile systems required in the financial area, and really made QAD several years ago now start the new initiative for the enterprise financials. And very much the things that we had in mind at that time have become requirements in the market today. But we think these are the three: global, connected, and agile. So if you look at some of the products that we have come out with recently to handle these requirements, certainly the internationalization. I think we're almost have all 47 countries in green yet. I think we have a couple that are still in yellow that we're just finalizing those capabilities in the baseline product. But getting those out in a single baseline was certainly quite a chore when we took that on about 4 years ago. We looked at each other and said, we have to do it. But it was a big challenge. And I want to say today, there's only 1 or 2 companies. We can only think of one competitor that has been able to do that. And they only do 45 countries, so we wanted to add a couple more. So we'll be the most integrated localizations around the world, including Brazil, which may be the bane of my existence, but we'll get through that as well. Very, very difficult, where every other ERP provider will have potentially Brazil, or maybe not Brazil, but it will be several years old and not kept up with the current releases. So difficult process, but absolutely required in today's environment. Looking at the new controller benchmark, this workbench just gives you the ability to look at a transaction or look at an amount, to graph it, and also to drill down to all the detail. Why all of a sudden Gordon's expenses for May were so expensive. Oh yeah, I see. He invited 800 of his best friends to come to Explore and paid for that event out of his expense account. Thank you, Gordon. Also very exciting, we're seeing a lot of interest and pickup on this from our customers, is business process management. So being able to define the workflow as, for something like creating a customer. You think, well, creating a customer is quite easy. Well, creating a customer touches a lot of people. It touches sales and marketing. It touches finance. It has credit information, banking information. And to automate that process so that it automatically moves from department to department, notifies you that you have something to do, and then moves on to the next department as needed, saves a lot of time, creates a lot of agility, and improves the work environment, reducing costs. So this is great. I think we have Rob Kramer here this week, and he'll be teaching a class on business process management. It's worth looking at. It's actually included in your maintenance. So if you're paying on maintenance today, you get business process management included with that. So please take a look at it. It's fantastic. The customers that are implementing it, which are numerous now, have all been very excited and happy about what they've been able to accomplish. And then, of course, the bank transfer. We have a group, I think, out of Spain, actually creating those bank drivers. Not only will they create them for you, they will maintain them for you as things change over the years. So it's something absolutely mandatory to be able to do these automatic bank transfers, and of course saves a lot of time from the American way of printing checks and putting them into envelopes and putting postage on them and sending them in the mail. So take a look at the automatic bank driver capability that we have. Okay. Next, we're going to go and look at sales and service, another exciting area.
As businesses move faster into the future, they need to be prepared to take orders from anywhere, for any product, and from any device. Whether a customer is placing an order from their tablet or replenishment signals being sent directly by a machine, today's companies need to be ready. And they need visibility, so they can stay ahead of demand and ahead of their competition. Companies also need to provide world-class service and have the ability to schedule and dispatch field engineers and provide them with the information they need about the product, about the issue, and about the people, so they can quickly solve problems, delight customers, and strengthen relationships.
Okay, so where is sales going? Certainly the idea that orders can come from anywhere. So today, I think many of our customers, at least over half of them, are well entrenched into EDI, so we are getting those EDI orders. But many customers are still entering orders through the order entry screen, and those will all stay. Those will still be happening for many years to come. But we also want the field people to be able to enter orders on their mobile. They want to enter orders on a phone. You want to have your customers, if they're entering end items or replacement parts, you want to be able to have them enter orders over the internet. And more, you want to be able to get order replenishments signaled from a device. So if you are hooked up to a distribution center and you're monitoring replenishment, you want those automatic replenishment orders to come in. Certainly we handle customer replenishment through EDI, but maybe we'll now be taking it in through XML because we don't want to wait for batches. We want to know exactly when it hits a trigger point and be able to replace the replenishment order. So orders from everywhere, and of course that means well-defined integration and APIs in our product, and be able to handle different types of formats of orders coming in. Very exciting one that's happening at all levels of the supply chain is the ability to shape demand. So that's been something that retailers have been doing for years, but now manufacturers are being able to do that. I read a case study recently on Dell, and you'll see that Dell weekly puts on specials and changes prices on their website, and they're doing that to shape demand, of course, for those products. But they're looking at not only what their inventory is, they're looking at the inventory down their supply chain, seeing what they're overstocked in, configuring the right system, and having a sale on that. They're looking at where items are low in inventory, and oops, if somebody wants this perhaps they should pay a little bit more. They're looking at what works from promotion and repeating that and taking out what doesn't. And certainly that is starting to happen at all levels of our customers. So why not, if you're a component manufacturer, move the price down? Why, if you have over demand or oversupply or less demand, move the price up? Why not offer, you buy 10 of these and 20 of these and 30 of these, we'll give you another 2% discount. So that's moving down the supply chain and happening at every level. So that's a trend we think will go on into the future. And in fact, I had an interesting event happened the day before Easter. I was at the local CVS store, and some guy came up to me and he said, "Do you know where I can find those plastic Easter eggs?" And I said, "Well, see these empty shelves? These would have all had plastic Easter eggs on them if you came last week, like I did and bought a bunch. But now they're out because tomorrow's Easter." Now, if somebody had been monitoring those shelves, why not fill them back up? In fact, I can envision the time that you're going to have electronic pricing on the shelves. And why not, when the shelf is getting low and it's the day before Easter, raise the price on those? And in fact, the gentleman that asked me about the shelves and the eggs, and he goes, "Oh, I desperately need them. Do you have any at home? Can I buy a bag from you for $25? I said, "Well, maybe I ought to just stand here a minute. I might be able to get $100 for a bag of plastic eggs." But certainly those are the type of things that are open to manufacturers today, to be able to find that sweet spot of what customers will pay for their product at any particular time. And then user-centric. More and more, as we've automated the transactions going into an ERP system, the users are knowledge users. They need to see trends. They need to see events. They need to see items that they need to act on, and it needs to be in a very nice, simple, but powerful screen for them to work with. And then, of course, the life cycle of the product. Whether it is providing replacement parts, doing field maintenance, whether it is actually recycling, upcycling, reusing, those are all very important parts of the sales process today, and we'll talk a little bit more of that actually when we get to the manufacturing area. So if you look at sales and service and take a few items that we've recently come out with, I'd like to just point out because they may be of interest to you. So first of all, the storefront. I think we call this CSS for customer store. I don't know what CSS stands for. Customer service. Self-service. Okay, thank you. Customer self-service. I wanted to put a storefront in there, but I call it storefront. So just this last March, storefront has gotten a pretty big uplift. It's now got great skins. You can reskin it. You can change the look, much more modern looking. We've integrated in the configurators, so if you have customers that want to configure an item, you can do that. It's also now, the configurator is translatable to multiple languages for the same model, so depending on the user, they can have it in their own language. We're seeing a lot of interest as more and more companies want to order, have customers order over the internet. Talked a little bit about trade management already, but trade management has had a brand new rewrite for the Enterprise Edition. So if you're interested in pricing and promotions, if you're interested in being able to audit your customers for really did they buy those products that they're putting in coupons for, because that's been a big issue in the past. Retail stores will just give away coupons or two for one coupons, turn all those coupons in, and they actually never even bought the product or as much product as they're turning in coupons for. So great audit capability in trade management, and we're looking for early adopters for that product in the Enterprise Edition. And then here we have the customer sales rep, service rep dashboard. So this is really geared for that knowledge user. We've pre-configured them for, I think, about 20 different roles, and we will be showing some of that in the breakouts as well as the training class afterwards. And so this is a pre-configured but easy to change dashboard. For instance, you might be looking at all the orders, and for me as a particular CSR, I want to narrow that down to a certain region, or I only do orders for a certain group of sales reps, or I only do orders for a couple customers. Then I would just change that configuration slightly. But we believe we've done enough research, talked to enough of our customers to know that these dashboards are well suited for the role. So everything that a particular role needs in a single screen with lots of drill downs. So those are included in the product, so please take a look at those dashboards. And lastly, web warranty. So this is really integrated with our service modules and meant for those customers that need to get replacements. They want to order that online. Condenser broke, keyboard broke, whatever it might have been, and it's under warranty, or you have a service contract. You can actually enter that online and get that replacement. I always want to say on the line. Did anybody see the interns? So I have to change online to on the line. Guess that's a hip thing. This is now in early adopter, so if you're interested in it, you'll be working directly with R&D on your requirements to make sure that it's meeting those. I think it's been rolled out at least one customer now, Hendrickson. So please take a look at web warranty if that makes sense for you. Okay. Now let's move on to the very exciting area of manufacturing.
Fueled by new technology, today's manufacturer is moving faster than ever before. Product concepts can now be designed, prototyped, built, and delivered to market faster than ever thought possible. Production lines need to be leaner, more agile, with shorter lead times and increased quality. And it's not just about making more, it's about using less, by reducing defects and eliminating scrap, all while having real-time visibility, so you can plan for the future and deliver exceptional products.
Okay. So here's the trends that we see in manufacturing. Of course, the ever acceleration of the life cycle. I want to be able to get an order in, I want to be able to make it, I want to get it out, I want to eliminate all that waste in between. If it takes 32 minutes to make something, I don't want to spend 2 weeks getting it through the manufacturing process. And there's some really innovation in this area, not just in the areas of lean manufacturing, Kanban, but in the area of recycling and reuse. We've worked for the last several years with Caterpillar on their remanufacturing sites. If you can remanufacture something and you don't have to buy all those raw materials, you can reuse it. There's lots of savings to be had, not only in production times, but in material times, in electricity, reducing electricity utilities that go into the manufacturing process. And in fact, I recently read an article on Renault at a plant outside of Paris, who is designing engines and transmissions to be able to reuse. So looking at the design of the product and how can I disassemble those and be able to repair what's needed, to manufacture what's needed, and reuse all those parts into a new engine. And they've shown great savings not only in time, but in utilities and labor and material in order to make new engines basically out of reused materials. And as we look at the depletion of worldwide resources and we look at the cost of commodities have greatly gone up compared to overall cost after the recession, and just the knowledge I know from my 20-something-year-old children, they're all about reuse, upcycling. Mom, don't throw that away. That can be recycled. That can be reused. Don't buy those plastic bottles. So I think this is very important, the whole area of reuse, as the market is demanding that. And as those 20-somethings get older, they will still be demanding it going into the future. Quality. Quality is mandated by many industries, whether it's the life science industry or the automotive industry, but it's being demanded by the consumer. A gentleman from ARC mentioned to me yesterday that quality is being driven by Amazon, and that's exactly true. Now, when you look at Amazon and you look at those ratings, if your product doesn't meet quality standards or what the consumer expects for quality, you're going to hear about that on Amazon, and that's not going to be good. So where quality had been almost an industry kind of mandate, now it is a consumer mandate that you provide me quality goods, or I'm going to let you know that I don't like it, and then other people will know that as well. And then traceability. I want to be able to trace the product through the supply chain out to the customer and be able to find those products again when I need to. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And then, of course, visibility, to be able to to let my suppliers see what I need, my customers be able to see what I need, or what I need to see what they need, and to retrace the products through the whole manufacturing and supply chain life. So here's a few things that we are coming out with. We just came out with. The And-On board was released in the March release. And the And-On board is meant to be displayed on a big screen into the manufacturing area to be able to see what needs to be made, what's recently been made, but also to be able to drill down to see messages of change in demand and be able to change your manufacturing schedules very quickly by drilling into, say, the production workbench. So really keeping a close integration with demand coming in, what's being manufactured, and the ability to change that very quickly as needed. And you tie that in with the Kanban capability and Kanban sizing to do what if, to get exactly the right plans together, the right size of batches together. And then very new, the serialization capability is actually in early adopter right now. And what this allows you to do is to be able to say, this pallet has these boxes on it, and each of these boxes have these serial numbers in it, and to be able to move that through manufacturing and warehousing and shipment very quickly and easily. I think, did we get a picture there? Yeah, here we go. Here is the first pallet with the very first customer, which is Iacita out of Italy, that is shipping their first pallet of goods using the new serialization capability. So as you can see, you can't really see, but these boxes are all stacked up on a pallet. Each of the box has a barcode on it, and then the whole pallet has a license plate on it that tells you exactly what's on that pallet. That could be something that's going into inventory and being able to move and be stored by that single pallet ID, or it could be something being shipped to the customer. So greatly reduces the number of inventory transactions, the number of transactions required to ship a product, but even more importantly, you'll be able to trace that, and I'm going to talk about that just in a second. So great picture. I love the hats. They're doing pharmaceuticals. We're glad to see that they're wearing the proper gear for doing packaging. Well, I should point out, too, that this particular company is getting their serial numbers from their customer, and I think in this case they're actually being assigned by the Chinese government. So you may actually be having your serial numbers pre-assigned, which happens a lot in the automotive area, pharmaceutical areas, and I have to use those serial numbers. Or you may be assigning your own serial numbers, but either way that you do it, this works. I think we have about 5 or 6 customers currently in the early adopter stage. They may be able to take a couple more, but this, we're looking forward to this coming out fairly soon. And then, of course, we talked about quality already. One of our divisions, CBOS, has a great quality product, quality management product. We've handled transactional quality aspects for many years in the standard QAD suite, but now we have a complete quality management area where, of course, you'll store your electronic records in any form that you need to store them and be able to do analysis and compliance as needed, very well suited for the automotive industry as well as the life science industry. But again, everyone needs quality. You're going to be demanding, the consumers are demanding that. And lastly, I wanted to mention the lot trace workbench that came out in the March timeframe. So this allows you to look for a particular serial number and a particular problem or lot number up and down the supply chain. So I have these serial numbers, they belong to this lot. I've had a customer complaint. What else should I be worried about? Who else got this particular lot number that I need to talk to? Or even the other way around, going from the customer to the lot or from the lot to the customers. So any way you want to slice and dice it, the lot trace workbench is something you would want to look at if that's a requirement. And I think it's now actually in general release as of March. We've had a handful of early adopters test it for us over the last few months. So it is now available. You may want to take a look at that later today. Okay, one more exciting area, and that would be supply chain.
Even though they may never see it, a company's supply chain can mean everything to their customers. Today's supply chains need to be collaborative, streamlined, and perfectly orchestrated, so that orders can be received, processed, and shipped in just a matter of hours, all while providing unprecedented visibility, not just internally, but throughout the entire supply chain. A supply chain has the power to save the day, and just maybe a whole lot more.
Probably not too far off if Amazon has their way. They want to actually deliver you goods to your front door. I think if they're under like 3 to 5 pounds, using those drones. Just a little bit of a problem with the government to work out, and that should be on our way. But certainly acceleration is very important. We want to be able to move things through the supply chain very quickly. And I think the whole concept of RFIDs everywhere helps us track everything through the supply chain. But even I order stuff on things on Saturday from Amazon, and they're delivered to me by the U.S. postman on Sunday, which I find amazing. But everything is being able to get that time reduction. You're going to be seeing more smaller warehouses. So as you move to accelerated delivery, you're going to see companies having smaller regional warehouses, and they're going to be doing predictive kind of analysis, looking at wish lists, looking at trends, looking at demographics, and stocking those local warehouses so that when I actually do place that order, it will get delivered to me immediately. Or when a store needs something, it will be delivered to that store immediately, reducing that delay. And while things are really global, I think as Carl pointed out, manufacturing is in some ways moving back to the point of use. So we started seeing a lot of final assembly plants being moved back to where they're actually being used, particularly heavy white goods like refrigerators. You don't want to be shipping those from around the world. You might buy the components from around the world, but you want to assemble them and deliver them on a local basis. So we do see the pendulum swinging a bit back to manufacturing being a bit more localized than centralized because of inexpensive labor. Labor is starting to neutralize in cost. It's not the big advantage that it has been. And if you can improve your output and production with good practices, manufacturing processes, the cost of labor is not a huge driver anymore. So still global, will always be global, but maybe more decentralized manufacturing. And of course, the whole concept of the Internet of Things, we have to mention that. You hear it even on commercials nowadays, the Internet of Things. It was actually coined in the 90s by Bill Joy, one of the founders of Sun Micro. And you might remember that Sun always had that saying that the network is the computer, and that was really what he was talking about on the Internet of Things. But it's changed a bit and morphed over the time to really look at every device, every item is going to have some kind of tracking on it. So whether it's an RFID is actually becoming more popular. It was slow to catch on because of the cost of the RFID, but they are getting cheaper. But beyond that, the IP addresses on every device, whether it's your phone, whether it's a particular machine used in manufacturing, whether it's actually a warehousing system, everything is being connected, except for my kids. They won't let me track them. I've tried to change their phones so they're not looking. They've caught on to me, put them back, turned off the tracking. But anyway, everything, including humans, our dogs get RFIDs in them, so we can always find everything that we're missing. And as we have readers everywhere, we're going to be able to actually track things quite easily. So the Internet of Things is going to drive the supply chain, and certainly it's going to drive replenishment. No longer does an order even have to come EDI, because I'm going to know what the quantities are in that particular warehouse on that particular shelf. And then visibility, always important, but I'll be able to now I'll interact with these devices and be able to have instant visibility of everything in my supply chain. So big changes in supply chain over the next several years, and we all have to be ready for that. If you look at some of the more current products that we have to help in this supply chain transformation, I should say supply chain evolution, is supply chain planning from our division Dynasis. So being able to interpret that information that we're getting in from demands for orders, be able to look at them from other trends, either from the grocery stores or the retailers or from the auto sales centers, and be able to interpret what I need to be able to make, compare that to my inventory, look at my costing, my promotions, be able to see exactly what I ought to be looking from my planning. Transportation management from our precision division, being able to not only track where things are, but to provide the right cross-border documents that are required, and to be able to tell if I can actually ship something to a particular country. Is it a conforming item that's allowed in by a given country and from out of a given country as well? Warehousing is going to become increasingly important as everyone moves to smaller regional warehouses, oftentimes even shared warehouses. But of course, warehousing plays a big part into that. And then the supplier portal that allows you to communicate seamlessly with your suppliers what your demand is. And certainly as RFIDs come into place in the Internet of Things, you'll be able to even bypass the screen and feed right directly into their enterprise systems as well. Okay. Now, of course, I always have to do this, even though I'm told not to. I want to give you a preview of what we're working on Just a couple I find very exciting, particularly in the simplicity of things. What we are working on in R&D right now, what you'll see coming out somewhere in the near future. So here's a couple surprise previews. First, on collaboration.
The faster companies expand around the globe, the more critically important it becomes to stay connected. Not just internally, but with everybody who interacts with the business. Whether sharing inventory levels with suppliers or production schedules between manufacturing sites, companies need to be able to share the right information with the right people and at the right time, without clouding the conversation with the noise and overshare of social networks. Companies need to collaborate so that every voice can be heard and contribute to future success.
Okay. So here I want to introduce collaboration. So if you think about collaboration, many of us have LinkedIn, many of us have Facebook. Certainly I set up Facebook to collaborate with the kids, and now I just know what everybody's eating for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. Way too much information. So one of the big things about collaboration that we're looking at is we want the right information at the right time. We want to eliminate noise. We don't need to know every little thing that changed about every different customer or item or supplier, just the things I want to, and we need to have them by role. Every individual person should not have to set up what they want to collaborate with. They should be presented with a good collaboration makeup for their role, and then be able to tailor it to their individual need, so the complexity is eliminated. And besides just using it inside my enterprise, I need to be able to use collaboration with selected partners. If I have outside sales reps, I want to include them. If I want to include a supplier or customer in a particular area, I want to include them by using their email address and including them into the particular area of collaboration. So I want to introduce Q. Of course, it had to be Q, because everything at QAD starts with a Q, and we thought that collaboration was well represented by starting and ending with just the capital letter Q. So what you're going to be seeing for Q is a Facebook-looking collaboration where you'll see somebody's picture, you'll be able to put in messages, but it will generate collaboration directly from the system. If an item goes below inventory, safety stock, and you want to have that as part of your collaboration, that will be a system-generated one. You'll be able to set up your collaboration by roles and groups, and you'll be able to simply modify them by yourself. And not only is it important to see that something has changed, that this product line planning parameter lead time has changed for a given item, but you want to know why it's changed. So much of the history of these changes gets lost in enterprise systems because there isn't really a way to record why I made that change, why I put the customer on credit hold, why I took them off credit hold. So very easily the way for the person to enter a message or a comment on why they made that change, and if you're part of that collaboration, be able to see that and be able to add your own messages to it. So this is Q, so be looking for it in the near future. And then also something very exciting to me is the whole user experience. We want to move the user experience along. We want it to be exciting. We want it to be easy to use the QAD software. So from a user experience point of view,
new systems are driving the future of manufacturing. They are empowering people and companies to work the way that best fits their business, from anywhere and on any device, providing them with the information they need when they need it. But it's more than just putting applications on the web or in the cloud. It's carefully crafting user experiences that not only enhance the usability of the application, but the effectiveness of the people using it, so that together we can build the future of manufacturing.
So most of you are seeing over the years that we want to be able to provide access to the system from anywhere, whether it is your desktop, whether it's your laptop, whether it's a mobile, whether it's a phone. We want to provide the right level of security, and we want to make it really usable. And so in order to do that, we're moving to the web. So QAD user interface is moving to the web. So we're currently using HTML5 as part of this transition, and you'll be able to access the QAD enterprise system through a browser. So whether it's on your screen, on your desktop, on your mobile, or on your phone, we're going to provide browser-based access through HTML5. It'll be very secure. We're going to keep the .NET for quite some time, so don't get worried. This is going to be an alternate access through the web. We're going to start off with the things that we believe managers want to see. So it's going to be the dashboards, it's going to be browses, it's going to be all the KPIs, and then we're adding shortly after things that we know people want to do on the internet. Requisitions, requisition approvals, as well as sales order entry will be the first batch of applications that are available through the QAD web. We've designed the architecture. It's actually quite new. It's a very different look and feel than the .NET. It's very internet-like. And I think it'll be very easy to use, very easy to configure, very easy to drill down. I think most of you have noticed over the years we've changed the inquiries to browsers, huge changes on how that looks. We've changed hard-coded reports to the report writer, so they're configurable. We're now changing the maintenance screens to a brand new look, very configurable on the maintenance side and available on the web. So you can expect over the next several years you're going to see more and more of the application available on the web. And as soon as it's available on the web, it's available on your tablet, and it's available on the phone or whatever other device comes out in the next several years. But it will be reformatted. It'll have a different form factor for whatever device you're looking at. So look forward to this. I find this very exciting. I know the guys just love seeing me coming over to talk to them every day and look over their shoulder in the group that's developing this. But we have a very bright, very artistic development group working on the web user interface, and it's a very exciting time as we make that transition. But don't be worried. It'll evolve, and you'll be able to keep your .NET. But do we have anybody in the room still on character? Oh, a few. Come on, guys. Okay, are you going to stay on character and go right to the web and miss .NET? Okay, well, anyway, thank you. The future is coming. It's coming now, and it's definitely better than it is today. So I'm looking forward to it and looking forward to seeing you all in the future. Thank you.
Please give